Okay, it says we're live.
Yeah, let me make sure we good on YouTube. And we're gonna get right into it.
Sounds good.
Okay, we live. We good to go.
All right.
Hey y'all. Good afternoon and welcome to the Discovery Within podcast where we explore the depths of self-discovery and personal growth. I'm your host, Coach T.
And I'm your co host, LJ the Peacemaker. And we are super excited to welcome you to episode 5. It's episode 5 already.
Yep.
It's like we are really in full swing and it's so exciting. And
Yeah.
today we are going to be delving into you are the architect,
Mm,
design and define yourself. So let's get into it, Coach T.
that's right. Look, I like the sound of that. You are the architect.
Yes, it
You
sounds
know,
powerful, right?
very, very powerful. Especially
Yes.
for the self discovery journey. But just like the title in itself, y'all already see it, design and define yourself. That's a part of the self discovery journey. When you get ready to start that journey, just know you're going to get ready to go down the road of uncharted territory, and it's going to take a lot of you going within and making actions and doing the proper things for yourself. So when you land that foundation for when you start to, build a life for yourself, then it's some things you're gonna have to cut out. Some things you have to you gotta drop. You're gonna have to
Yes.
drop all them judgments you have against yourself. You're gonna have to drop the judgments that others have placed on you, what your mama told you, what your daddy told you, what your teacher told you, what school, society, everybody. Now it's on you. So it's
Yes.
like, now it's on you. What you gonna do? And like
Absolutely.
that first step, it be really scary because I know when I started my journey, I don't even remember like the first day when it actually started. To be real with you, all I do know that I was at a point where I was just trying to figure out like who I was and like what's my purpose. Because I'm like I feel like it's more to me than like where I'm currently at. And I
Right.
think by this time I think it usually it happened for me like after high school. You go to college and stuff and you start to experience new things and you just trying to find your way in the world. And that's when my journey really just jumped off. But it was kind of scary because it's like stepping into uncharted territory because up until then I had the guidance of my mama, my teachers, and all those authority figures in my life. But then it's like when you get pushed out in that world and you got to be a go and find your own way. It's like,
Right.
man, what to do?
Absolutely.
Where do I
Absolutely.
start?
And I mean, it starts making you feel like something's wrong with you because it looks like everybody else knows what they're doing. And I know on my journey I had to come to the realization that they don't know what they're doing. Are they happy? Are they fulfilled? Are they not complaining all the time? You know what I mean? Those are the indications that they don't know what they're doing, otherwise they'd be overflowing with joy. And so it's like I came to a point where I had just like a full on breakdown. I was just drinking every day, smoking weed, like just lost in the sauce. And where it got to a point like I can't live like this anymore, and I really had to start revamping everything that I was doing and accepting that if I keep on this path, it's going to kill me. I'm not being present for my children or going to accomplish any of the things that I want to accomplish. And so I really had to accept that, my failure, that's how it felt, like I was just a complete and utter failure. But so my failure in life was not due to a lack of effort. I've been out here doing what everybody told me I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to work hard. You're supposed to sacrifice. You're supposed to, burn the candle at both ends. All these things. That's what I've been doing. And I'm like, and how has it led me here?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to a place where it was like I recognized that my failure was not due to a lack of effort. So it must be my approach. It must mean I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And if I was listening to what everybody was telling me, and it led me here, then clearly they don't know what they're doing either, and that it was when I really began to understand you are the architect. You have to define yourself. You can't allow what everybody else is telling you to define you. And I mean, we hear that so often, but we don't realize that society at large has like these patterns, these paradigms that are just in play that impose on us what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? So it's like your parents, they don't have to tell you, oh, you go to school and then you get a good job and then you buy a house and then you get a dog and a picket fence. you
Mhm.
know, they don't have to tell us that. The whole world and society itself is pressing that on us, and it's like coming to a place where you realize, oh, if I don't do that, or if I don't even like that, if that doesn't sound appealing to me, that doesn't mean something's wrong with me. I get to design my own life, and I get to do it from my heart. Like, what do I really like? What really makes me happy? Who do I want to be? And I mean, it's so liberating and empowering to realize that that's what life is supposed to be. That's how God made it. That's why we all have special gifts and we're all so different and unique, because we're supposed to go out here and do our thing. And that is what we're doing here.
That's right. That's how everything got sparked with the whole podcast. It's like venturing out on that journey. Like you in the middle of nowhere, you ain't really got all the directions, but you just going, you gonna jump out there because you got the heart. You got the heart, so you just gonna jump out there, and then you meet people, and
Yes.
it's not coincidental. It's because you had the courage to actually put yourself out there, to be seen, to be heard. You got to place yourself. You ain't gonna know exactly where to go, but all you have to do is start. And
Right.
that's a big thing, taking on that responsibility. 'Cause once you make that leap, you don't arrive. Now you might as well sit back and enjoy this ride. 'Cause you don't step into some stuff. You don't
Yes.
step into something, and it's amazing, honestly. But when it's like you said, if you have that whole conditioning on you and you so used to everybody telling you what you should do, that breeds that comfort because you feel like, oh, I already have the blueprint because the people before me, they laid it out for me. But it's like most people don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, they'll try to tell you what you should be doing. And you got to ask yourself, well, how does that make sense? Because people, we walk around this world like we just got it going on. Like, oh yeah, my life is together. Even if it seems like they got it put together, they may not have it all together. Because if you had it all together and you knew it all, there would even be no need for you to be on this earth.
Right.
You knew it all.
right. Right. You would transcend.
Yeah, I mean, you out of here, but man, that's a big role to take. And you gotta learn how to be curious when you're on this journey and
Yes.
not be afraid to do something that's outside the norm because the norm, everybody's doing that. But
Right.
when it comes to paving your own way and defining who you are, that takes courage because you're unique. In a world full of people, there's no other person like you. So how someone else, does their life, how they, got their success, whatever the case may be, that ain't gonna be how you get it.
Right.
Not saying that you can't get no game, no tips or nothing from them, but it's essentially on you to figure out who you are so that you can take the aligned actions for your life. And when you take on that role where you're the architect, you the hero, you the author, then it's what you say. So then you start to create that life that you want. And some people think that that's like a big task, like, well, I'm not worthy of that, or they're scared to do it. And like that fear, that fear, that be blocking us. That fear blocks us every time because you all, like we said, you got your mama, you got your cousin, you got your teacher, you telling you stuff like, but I don't think this is a good idea for you. And
right.
you come up with this stuff. You may come up with an idea in your head, or you just get this inner knowing that this is the direction that you should head. You go out and tell somebody. Now they come and crush your dreams. And now you want to, now you sitting back and you ain't even doing what you felt compelled to do. You knew
right.
you had that spark in you to go and do the thing, but you let somebody else tell you that you shouldn't be doing that. And now
Right.
it's like you place yourself back and you don't really move forward because while you had that urge, that fire to go and start, going to uncharted territory, you allowed someone else to come in and put their limitations on you. So when you walk in this self-discovery journey, you can't have no one telling you how you supposed to walk your walk.
Right. Right.
You gotta stand in it and you gotta stand on everything about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, it's ultimately about understanding that we are designing our lives, whether we're doing it consciously, haphazardly, or based on other people's limiting beliefs that they're imposing on us. So it's like we, and as a whole, are the summation of our thoughts, of our beliefs, of our habits. That's what makes up who we are.
Mm,
Our characters developed by the way that we repeatedly behave. And so it comes to a point where you have to ask yourself, is this leading in the direction I want to go? Because you are the one who is actually driving. So it's like, if you're driving, why would you be driving according to somebody else's map? What is the point of that? You know what I mean? And meanwhile, they don't even know their destination, but they're going to tell you yours. Logically, that really doesn't make sense. And I feel like it comes after we go through so much inner turmoil that we realize, wait a minute, I got to follow my own path, or else I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to feel fulfilled. Something about what they're telling me to do just feels unnatural, and you can no longer take it. But it's like, it's really important for us to acknowledge that we are the one who determines the direction our life goes in, and it's whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously. So why not be intentional and strategic about where you're directing your life, because you are the one who gets to design it. So imagine if you sat down and actually drew out a blueprint, actually began to ponder, oh, what would my ideal life look like? What would my ideal job look like? What kind of health, what kind of shape do I want to be in? I mean, even just sitting down and beginning to think of these things, it fosters joy and excitement. You start feeling like, oh,
mhm.
wait, okay, that sounds cool. And it's like the structure that the world would have us live in wants you to think that life is not about you being happy. There's no time for you to figure what you want. It's about what you have to do. You have to do this. You need to do this. And ultimately, you don't. Like, that's what I came to realize. I'm like, some people abandon their family. Some people, they leave and never come back home again. I mean, we all watch the TV show where they make the joke about the dad went out for milk and then he never came back. You know what I mean? It's like, some people really doing that. So
Yeah.
clearly they didn't have to, they didn't need to handle their responsibility. And these are choices we're making. And granted, we want to be a responsible person. We want to take care of our families. I'm not encouraging you to abandon what you're supposed to be taking care of, but I just want it to be presented in a different way, where that's a choice you're making. You're consciously making that choice. And so you can consciously make the choice to allot time to begin to design what you want your life to look like, because you are the one who is creating your life. If you all you do is get up every day and go to a 9 to 5 job, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your circumstance, you do what you got to do. But if that's what you're doing every day, then that is the life you're creating for yourself. That's your reality. That's your truth. And so, with that, you can begin to create something else, create a different reality, a different truth, by beginning to do something slightly differently. And, it really just begins with us starting to decide, wait a second, what would I really like to do? And once we think about it long enough, then it inspires action. Next thing you know, you'll be out here doing something about it.
That's right. It's like making them decisions, like doing those things that you scared to do. Like you'll get, like you said, you get so far off in life, and then you realize, man, I ain't even been living for me. Like, dang, what makes me happy? And then you get to that point, and then you start to revisit all that stuff that you put down, and you start to pick that back up. Go back to those old things. Sometimes it usually starts around in your childhood. You
Hmm.
have an idea of what you want to do, who you want to be, how you want life to be for you, but then you got logical humans coming to tell you, but that's not gonna be reasonable. That doesn't make sense. You're like, how? And then you just putting that damper on that child's spirit and that essence and just limiting them in so many ways. You just don't know how you just crush them with that. They go off into their adulthood and now they living for other people. They're not truly living for themselves. And then it breeds on this depression, confusion. And it's all because they don't know themselves. It's
Right.
like they can't even open up and be free and express themselves in no way because you got all these standards over here what you should look like whether if it's body wise or whether you get a certain age you should be married, whatever
Yeah.
whatever condition they
Right.
place upon you. And it's like they're trying to live up to this standard and they're afraid that if they do something different and be who they are, then somehow that's going against the grain. But
Right.
when you in this self-discovery journey, you gonna have to go against the grain because now you in the driver's seat. You your own hero. You can't
Right.
depend on someone to tell you who you are. So once you start to express yourself in a manner that you feel is good to you, however that may look to you, you're gonna have to develop like a shield, or you just gotta really not even care about what other people think. You
Right.
gonna have to drop all of that caring about what people think that's outside of you. So, and that includes the people that are in your close proximity. You got to evaluate your relationships. And I'm talking about all relationships. It could be work, romantic, friendship, whatever. Look around your relationships because all the people that's in your environment, those are your reflections, those are your mirrors. They tell you
Right.
like things about yourself. If you're not liking what you see in the mirror, you know what that means, right? Yeah, you got to change something. Because
That's right.
the change starts with you. Life is gonna keep going on. Either you're gonna sit here, you're gonna complain about how you feel about where your life is at, or you gonna pick yourself up and say, you know what, I'm finna change the channel. I'm finna rewrite the script. I can't do this how everybody else want me to do this.
Right.
And then you liberate yourself and you free yourself from someone else's mold, from what other people told you you should be, how to live, and all of that. That's over with. Once you step into that place of growth, you got to step into it wholeheartedly. When you walk in this journey, your mind got to be open, your heart got to be open
Absolutely.
because you can't
Absolutely.
be so closed off and with that limited thinking. Because when you closed off, your mind isn't open, your heart isn't open. You can't even you can't attract nothing new into your life. You ain't gonna see different people, different outcomes, different circumstances because you already confined yourself to what you already know.
Right.
So you have to learn how to embrace that growth.
Absolutely.
And with growth comes with opening yourself up, opening your mind up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And really, getting to this place where you decide that, this is your life. It will never be what you want it to be unless you make it happen. And, really taking that degree of accountability. And it's not about being hard on yourself or, being harsh. It's about really accepting. And
Hmm.
am I happy? Shouldn't I get to be happy in this life experience? And granted, that every second is not happy. There's trials, tribulations that we're confronted with, but ultimately, don't you deserve to be happy in your own life? Don't you deserve to complete that thing that you always wanted to do? Why not? Why shouldn't you? And really looking around out in the world, you see other people are doing it, and not that we're comparing ourselves with other people, but other people are straight chilling. Like other people got nice things, other people are going on trips, whatever the case is, whatever it is you desire, it exists out there. So why not you?
Hmm.
And once you come to this place and you really ask yourself, why not me? You realize why can't it be me? It can be me if I just begin to carve out a piece of time and of attention to create what I want to create. And it's like It all starts with an idea. Everything we see around us began with an idea, somebody's imagination. So as we even allot a little bit of time to imagining what it would look like, what your dream vacation looks like, things like that, we begin to make them more real. And then as we write them down, because we're the architects, so we get to create a blueprint. It doesn't have to be some master configuration. Maybe three things that you could do: get some brochures, look at this, call a travel agent, and it's like certain things like that really begin to, sometimes they're a little bit outside your comfort zone, because to call a travel agent and you don't have no money to go on a trip, that could be scary. But it's about coming to the ultimate realization that what really is the problem. People get calls all the time. You know what I mean? The travel agent, their job is to share with you the information. So it's like you really begin to see certain barriers that are blocking you, and they're really internal barriers. Those thoughts, those limiting beliefs. Because if I'm interested in learning about a vacation, I'm just using that as the example, and I'm reluctant to call a travel agent, then that means that something, I'm creating some kind of barrier in my mind, because it's just a phone call. It's just words. I'm a person. I could talk to another person. Like, what's really the problem? And a lot of times we don't realize all that resistance that we're creating for ourselves and blocking ourselves from achieving what it is that we desire. But as we begin to think more about it and start making simple action steps that we can take, we begin to make it more real and it becomes tangible, and it's like day out, day in and day out, we think, I don't even know how many thoughts, a lot. you know, how many of those are you devoting to what you want to see in your life? How many of those are you directing? Or are thoughts just hitting you, haphazardly based on circumstances? You're just reacting to everything going on around you. And as we begin to really ponder these things, we realize, wait a second, not one thought is about me. Like, it's about the bills, it's about this, about my kids, it's about work. And you really start to create this awareness for yourself of how much you're neglecting yourself, and it's like we talk constantly about this self-care, and we don't fully understand what it means. There's so many degrees and levels to it, and it's like self-care begins with you really even considering yourself, factoring yourself in to the equation. You deserve it. You are worthy, and you get to live this life the way that you want it to look. And that's
Mhm.
so important, because for me, for so long, I was not on my priority list. That to me didn't even make sense. It's about sacrifice. You got to do what you got to do. Nobody cares how you feel. There's no time for that. You feel like crying, do it later, but the time will never come. You know what I mean? It's like, suck it up, keep on going, push on through. And inevitably, that almost killed me. It resulted in, severe health condition, where it's like, it became clear I can't go on like this. And I
Mhm.
really had to look at how I was treating myself. It's like, you do your best to be kind to other people. You are treating yourself so bad. Why are you treating yourself like that? And then, after having to assess that, it's like, wait, I really should stop that. That's not good. That's not good at all. But it's only until we begin to ask ourselves these questions, until we start taking ownership of the fact that we are the one every day getting up, taking whatever actions we're taking, and they're leading in a certain direction. Is that where we want to go? And if it's not, then we have to begin to create a new plan. And we are more than capable.
It's like you said, that's a lot to unpack right there. But just even with the self care piece, because that's honestly the foundation. Your self care is the foundation to everything.
Yes.
So it's like you said, you was doing for everybody else and neglecting yourself. And it's like in this world, to be called selfish, it gets such a negative connotation when it's like it has it's good and it. Well, I don't even like to get caught up in good, bad, right, wrong, and stuff like that. But everything is necessary.
Right.
Everything serves its purpose. You can be too far over here, or you're gonna be too far over there. Sometimes you got to find that balance with it. So selfishness is actually a good thing. You have
Yes.
to have some level of selfishness. Like if you putting everybody else before you, You pouring into everybody else. Who pouring back into you?
Right.
And then you over here at the end of the day, I just wish somebody would do this for me, or I did this for this person, and they wouldn't even do this. It's like, now do you hear yourself
Right.
when you say these things? You're pouring from an empty cup, and now when it's time to take care of you, you looking out there when it should have been you taking care of you.
Right.
But well, while people are out here that like they'll accept whatever it is that you're giving, but it's like you got to give to yourself, and that's what walking in this self-discovery journey is about. You got to feed yourself first. How you gonna pour from an empty cup?
Right.
How you gonna deliver? How you gonna show up? I don't care, as a mother, on that job, whatever. How you gonna show up for that if you don't show up for you first? You came before all of that. So if you don't get your mind, your body, your spirit right, how are you going to be all you can be for somebody else, and you ain't even being all you can be for you?
Right.
You got to start asking yourself those things. And like it's like when you get serious and you like, enough is enough. I'm gonna start living for me. You start using your imagination. It's like you said, everything started with an imagination, a thought, an idea. You got to actually visualize the life that you want. How do you see yourself? And when you get to visualize, it's like going back to that childhood imagination.
Yes.
You dream big. It wasn't no limits. Ain't no caps to what you dream about or what you imagine. The sky's the limit. Ain't no limits.
Right.
You get back to that. You start imagining what you want your life to be like, and then you start to ask yourself, okay, who I gotta be in this moment to get to where I'm trying to get? Where I need to hang out? What habits do I need to adapt to or adopt to get where I'm trying to go? I know this ain't working out for me no more right here, but this is where I am. So I'm gonna embrace where it is that I currently am, because I know this is not my end result. This ain't the end of my story, but I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna create what it is that I want to see. And at first, that starts with you being what it is that you want to see.
Yes.
So you'll start hanging out around the people that's, you know, where you want to be. You'll start to, tap into, like, it's like you said, where you place your time and your energy. It's like TV. What you looking at on TV?
Right.
I ain't got nothing to do with where you trying to be. You might need to turn that off. Not saying,
Absolutely.
not saying don't watch TV, because like
Right.
I said, you can't be so far over here, and then give yourself some balance. You can watch a little TV, but understand when you are watching these things or whatever you're participating in the world, you got to ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this going to help me to get to where I want to be? You got to be more conscious of what you taking in.
Right.
Once you become more conscious of what you're taking in, you won't even waste your time on certain things. Because I know for me, I don't really watch TV like that. If it ain't got nothing to do with me learning something, or I don't want to watch it.
Right.
Not saying that I still don't watch my, other type of TV and stuff like that. I still watch that, but it's to a minimum.
Yes.
Because you got to have that balance. It's
Yeah.
not one way to do it. And that's another thing on this journey. You have to be okay with knowing that it's not one way to do this thing called life.
Right.
You for a reason. You unique for a reason. You here for you. So you got to figure out how you gonna do this life for you.
Right.
Can't let nobody else tell you or make you feel bad about how you choose to live your life. Because when you began to live in your authenticity and you start showing up like you gonna move in a way that's foreign to somebody else.
Right. Right.
And if you have people that may judge you or condemn you for a certain way that you move, then you're gonna have to learn how to tune that out, because that's what's gonna come when you walk that path and you start becoming the architect of your own story. They're gonna look at you like you crazy. They gonna judge you. It just know that it's coming. So just go ahead and prepare yourself for it. Actually look forward to it. Because when people come at you, they're judging you for how you choose to navigate your life. You're doing the right thing. You on the right path, because that's what comes with it.
Right.
But That's not gonna stop nothing.
Right. Right.
Not gonna stop
Exactly.
nothing.
Exactly, because I mean, ultimately, everybody has an opinion, and we can all think whatever we want to think, you know. So that was something that I really had to accept as well. Like, people in our heads, we can think whatever we want to think. There's people walking around that are perceived as normal, and they're delusional. You know what I mean? There's people that are smart, they think they're dumb. There's people that are beautiful, they think they're ugly. There's people that are thin and they think they're overweight, and it's like they're coming from some distorted thinking. And not to say there's anything wrong with them. The point is, in our mind, we can think whatever we want. They're choosing those thoughts. So why are you not able to choose whatever thoughts you want? To choose the thought that I can become a millionaire. I can be successful in business. I can be this or that, because you're entitled to think whatever you want. And you are the summation of your thoughts. What we think is what makes us who we are, because we that inspires action, so we begin to act out of those thoughts. And what we consistently do creates our habits. The thoughts we consistently think create our beliefs. And so we are living from those thoughts. Why not feed ourselves empowered thoughts or begin to think in a proactive manner? You know, and I mean, part of what you mentioned as well about who do I have to be to obtain what I want? That's such a critical component, because that's something that we have to accept. You get out of things what you put into them, first and foremost. But additionally, you get what you are. You know what I mean? So if I'm sitting around all day eating junk food and I'm talking about, man, I wish I was healthy, what does a healthy person do? What would a healthy person do? You know what I mean? Am I conducting myself in the manner of a healthy person? No. So then I'm not a healthy person, and I'm not going to be one until I start modeling that behavior. And so part of the initial steps is really, once you decide what it is that you want, is go read some books. Go look at what some healthy people are doing. So you can see, oh, that's simple. They said they go for a 20-minute walk every day. All right, I could start doing that, you know, and then you begin to become that person. Because even with, you know, the law of attraction and manifesting things, we often think it's like, if I say this mantra 100 times, then I'll get it and it'll be drawn to me. And it's like, no, what is drawn to you is about who you are. What vibration are you sending out into the world? Like attracts like. If I'm a kind person, kind people are going to gravitate toward me. If I'm a nasty person, then nasty people are going to gravitate towards me. That's just how this goes, you know, and it's really about this reaping and sowing. So you got to plant the seeds for the things that you're saying you want, or you will never have them. But we all have the capability to plant these seeds. And the thing is, we are planting the seeds. Our thoughts, our words, our time, they are all seeds that we're planting, and we're going to receive a harvest from them. So why not be intentional? Why not be on purpose about it and really take this empowered approach, so you feel like, wow, my life is my own. I'm not just being dragged around by life and it's like a whirlwind. I don't know what's coming next. You know, you are able to take control, and that doesn't mean there's not unexpected happenings. Of course there are. But as we begin to really take ownership and step into this self-care piece, which part of that is taking ownership of your thoughts, thinking thoughts that serve you, thinking healthy thoughts, modeling healthy behaviors. That's part of self care, because you're treating yourself right, you know. And it's something, because earlier this year, God said to me, your main responsibility is to take care of my daughter, you. And it was like, wait, what? That's my main responsibility. Take care of God's daughter. Who? Me. I'm God's daughter. That's my main responsibility. And I share that with you. That's your main job, to take care of you. And when we hear that, the world would have us think it in like some distorted, perverse way. Like that means we got to step on other people, this, that, and that. It ain't even about other people. It's about you. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's part of the problem. We're so overly concerned with other people that when the suggestion comes up about thinking about you, you start thinking about other people. Ain't nobody talking about them. Don't cut them out the equation. We're talking about you right now. What are you doing for you? You matter. Your main responsibility is to take care of yourself, to ensure that you are the best you that you can be. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to contribute anything of value to other people. Because now you're not bringing your problems, your negative energy, your hurt feelings, and weird behaviors to other people. You know what I mean? Because, like they say, hurt people hurt people. And
Yep.
it's not necessarily always intentional. It's just because when we're in pain and hurting and have unresolved issues, it creates these distortions in our mind, and our perspective is askew. So somebody could be like, "Oh, I'm running late, I gotta leave," and you'd be like, "Oh, they don't like me." Meanwhile, that ain't what happened. You know what I mean? So it's like really about understanding. The more care you take of yourself and the better care you take of yourself, the better your life will be, the better your relationships will be, and the greater impact you will make on everything you touch. You know, it's like you're blessed to be a blessing. So go out and take care of you. You
That's
matter.
right. That's right. And it's like that they're saying, don't talk about it, walk about it.
Yes.
Like you really gotta walk this thing because it's one thing to say what you want and then try to tell other people, okay, this is the way that you should do it and this how it's supposed to be. But then it's like, okay, behind closed doors, are you living that?
Right.
Are you being that? Because with that talk, you're gonna have to back it up. You can't just be saying things and you ain't even living it. Now
Right.
you don't put it out there. Whatever, and like you said, whatever you thinking, whatever you speaking, that's what's coming to you. So now that you don't put it out there, now you finna attract all these experiences, people that gonna test you to show you, okay, show yourself approved. This
Right.
is what you said out of your mouth because we know words are powerful. You don't spoke it. Now get ready to see what life is about to throw at you. So it's
That's for
like,
sure.
and that's where that real test come from. Because now you don't say it out your mouth. It's like, okay, you know you said that, and then some of us we could be just talk so loosely, and we're not mindful of what we saying. We just saying what we think sounds good or what people want to hear, and it's like, no, if you speaking it, okay, now it's time to be about it because now life is really about to show you something, and so that's gonna determine whether you ready to step up or not, and that's when you're gonna start moving outside that comfort zone and going into those uncharted territories because now you don't spoke something, now you spoken something new. So with new, you already know you got to X out the
Right.
old way of speaking, thinking, all of that. You got to trash that. So how you gonna move now? Now you really got to do some work and ask
Right.
yourself questions. And with those questions, you have to have some answers. And sometimes the answer does not come right away.
Right.
Sometimes all it starts with you just seeking. You seek and you shall find. Because I know for me, on my journey to discovering who I am, I didn't know all the answers, and I still don't know all the answers now.
Right.
But once I started changing the way I talk, changing the way I thought, the way I thought about myself, all of that, that's when things started coming into place for me, and it would be random. Because on this journey, this is an adventure. You
Yes.
you in
An
for
exciting one.
you in for a ride, and it's exciting, but you have to be ready and you have to
Yeah.
be willing, or else it's not gonna be no excitement. If you just want to
Right.
be confined to your old self and how things are, and you cool with that, that's cool.
Right.
But if you complaining, then that you gonna have to do something. But once I started, I stopped my complaining. I still complain to these days, but I stopped myself. But you get on this journey and you just start to different things come into your life. For me, it's like you said, books. Some things that popped it off for me. I started reading certain books, and that started to change my mind. I started to think different, and that's how I started to move. And that's where I began my journey. Then it goes from books. Then you may meet some people
Right.
who may give you a different perspective on life, and then you look at other people's perspective and how they view the world, and then you go to different places. You may travel because you can't figure out who you are if you just gonna sit there like a rock, like being still, like a tree. Like you gotta move.
Right.
So that means you gotta maneuver, go places you've never been before. And I'd say try some things or go to places that you fear. Because that's what's really gonna help you to, take ownership on this journey. The things that you fear are going to be the things that you have to confront.
Yes.
Because that's where all your answers lie, on the other side of your fear. But you
Absolutely.
got to have the courage to just look fear in its face and really see what it's about. Like, you gonna believe it. You gonna believe this fear. You got to question fear. Anytime it comes up within you, you got to question that, because you know you had the idea, you knew what you wanted to do, but then all of a sudden you stop because that fear came up. It's like,
Right.
no, we ain't gonna. You got to tell yourself, I'm not finna let this happen. I'm finna evaluate this. What fear? Like, what am I? What am I afraid of? What do I feel like I'm not worthy? Do I feel like I'm not ready? Or where is this coming from? Because if you had the thought, the dream, the imagination, you was excited about it, then nothing ain't gonna stop you.
Right.
You're gonna go out there and do the thing. And sometimes this thing is like trial and error. Sometimes you gotta crawl before you walk. You may fail, and when you really look at it, a failure really isn't a failure. You go through it, and it'll help you on your journey. So you know what not to do. So it's
Right.
really a win-win. You ain't losing nothing, because from
Absolutely.
every failure you gain the experience. You gain inner wisdom. And that wisdom from all those failures, so-called failures, that's that wisdom that you can take on your journey,
Right.
as you building up yourself, as you living a life by your design. And for me, that's how I got into human design. I know
Mm.
we talked about it briefly.
Yes.
That's something like, because it's a tool that they use in self-discovery, because there's different energy types. And I ain't gonna go all into details about it, but that's how I picked up human design. This is just
Mm.
another avenue of me stepping out into the unknown. And
Right.
I like to say that human design found me. I didn't find it, but I was on the journey. I was seeking. I was trying to find, I'm still trying to find out who I am. And
Yes.
then this gets placed into my path, and I take interest in it. And now it's helping me to further my journey, because you're going to come into all types of things, but you have to open your mind up. Everything that you see in front of you, some of us, we so conditioned that if we see something new or something that's outside the norm of what the world does or what our family did, we think that there's something wrong with that, and that we
Right.
shouldn't go that way. But it's like, why not? How will you ever know if you're not curious?
Absolutely.
If you don't ask questions, if you don't go over there in the uncharted territory, if you don't go over there and do the things that other people not doing.
Right.
Because if everybody doing the same thing, how we gonna get anywhere?
Absolutely.
Everybody's doing the same thing.
Right. No,
Find
that's for
yours.
sure. Yes, that's for sure. And I mean, it's like you said, everybody doing the same thing. And are they obtaining the result that you desire? Do they have what you want? If they've not accomplished what it is you're saying you want, then they don't have it because they don't know how to get it. That's ultimately what it comes down to, really accepting how this life works and how we achieve what we desire. So it's like we get what we want out of life by going after it.
Hmm.
We can't sit down and it just comes to us by osmosis and magic, or because we just wished hard enough. You have to go after it. And it comes to a point where you got to ask yourself, am I going after what I want? I'm not. If you're not achieving it or even taking steps in that direction, then you have to be very honest and be accountable to the fact that you're not going after it. And once we make that firm decision to go after it, then the path begins to reveal itself,
Yep.
because God is supporting our truest desires. God's the one that put those desires in us. You know what I mean? That it goes back to what you were saying about when we're children, closer to our true essence. Those desires that are in us are part of our makeup. You like that thing because you was made to like that thing. And so as we begin to really ponder that and remember how we began this journey, what the games we like to play, what we like to pretend we would be when we grew up, those are the indicators of what your true calling is. And it's for us to acknowledge and to accept that and to try it out. Like you said, try different things, experience different things, explore, play like you used to play so you can find out what makes you happy, what feels fun, what is the thing that, wow, I would love to get up and have to do this every day. That's amazing. But really giving ourselves enough room to explore these things and to experience these things. And, as we embrace the power that we have, because we are so powerful, our thoughts, our words, where we invest our time, all of these things are what manifest into our reality. So it's like the physical things that we see all around us, those are the result of the thoughts, the time, the energy that we previously invested. And it's for us to learn, oh, that's how this works. I have to go after what I want initially before I see it. And if I continue to align my thoughts, to align my actions, to invest my time in that direction, that's how I go after it. And I will inevitably see it because that is the divine order of things. That's how this works. And once we accept that, then we're no longer so moved by the physical appearance of things because we realize that's a result. You know what I mean? So it's like if I have bad credit right now, I want to have good credit. You know what I mean? You can, but right now, your reality is bad credit because your previous actions led here. But
Mhm.
right now is a temporary situation that can be changed based on the thoughts and the actions that you're willing to invest right now. So if
Mhm.
you want good credit, you got to go after it with your thoughts, your mind, your time, and really begin to design it in your mind. Write it down on paper, create a plan as the architect that you are so that you can redesign and redefine who you are, who you want to be, and how you want this to look. And then you begin to lay that groundwork. And that does not mean that you immediately see the physical results. The initial results are usually internal. You feel a little different. You feel a little better. You're like, wait, oh, I today I organized all my bills. And initially that's real progress. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to accept that there's this piece of this journey that other people don't get to see. Nobody's going to see what you're working on behind the scenes while you're beginning to change your thoughts, while you're beginning to change your mind, And so that's the time where you really get to establish that conviction for yourself so that when you do have to go out and face other people and really stand firm in this new direction you're taking, you've established some conviction about it because you've been planting those seeds behind the scene. But it's like we really have to understand we are powerful.
Mhm.
We are made in the image and likeness of God. We are creators by design. We're intended to create our reality, and we are, whether we know it or not. I once heard a pastor say, I told my congregation that they get what they say, but instead of saying what they want, they're saying what they got. So that was so profound to me because it's
Mhm.
like we have to speak things into existence. You know what? I'm going to go after what I want. You know what? One day I'm going to have that thing. You know what? I'm going to practice this. I'm going to become this. I will have what I desire. Speak the things that you desire into
Mhm.
existence, not just looking around and saying, man, I don't like my job. Man, observing these physical symptoms of past actions. That's really what it is. Everything we see is a consequence. But what was the cause? What was the thing that you did, the behavior that created that? You can always change the behavior. And it is not always necessarily easy, but it all begins with creating that awareness, creating that awareness of what you're doing, how you're behaving. Wait a second, am I complaining all the time? And a lot of times that hurts. That part hurts because we got to see ourselves before we could change. So, even for myself, I'll pray for a thing. And then the next part is like, I see how I am just totally out of alignment to go to
Mhm.
that next step. And it hurts. Sometimes I'm crying. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it's like, it's okay. It's all part of the process. You can't change what you're not aware of. You got to see yourself, and you got to feel the feelings that come with it, so you realize how much you don't like that and how much that is out of alignment with what you're saying you want and who you want to be. And
Mhm.
from there, then you start making them changes, because you're like, I'm not doing that no more. That is not it. you know but it's like we have to be willing to go on this journey, because this is what life is all about. This is your life. This is your one and only life. What are you going to make of it? You're just going to let it blow in the wind? You're going to let other people determine who you are, how far you can go, what you can have? You can have it all, but you have to be willing to go get it.
That's right. And you said something so powerful. It's just like you really have to get real with yourself when you on this journey. And it's like I said earlier, all that judging yourself and being up on yourself, you're gonna have to throw that out the window.
Yeah.
This path requires you to get naked with yourself. And
Mm.
I mean naked. You gotta let it all hang. Everything got to hang, them flaws, everything. And you gotta look at those vulnerabilities, but look at them in a different light, because it is where we condition. Like you can't show no emotion, you can't show no weakness and stuff. But I'm
Right.
like, your vulnerability, that's your strength, that's your superpower, because that's what's gonna get you to where you trying to go. If you ain't willing to be honest with yourself
Mm.
and where you need work at, and all those things that come with that, you afraid to uncover the darkness within you, those negative thoughts, those negative habits, whatever. If you ain't willing to confront that and get real about yourself and actually get on yourself instead of focusing on somebody else and calling out what they doing, what they not doing, whatever they doing wrong, and turn that attention inward, then you just going, this is not the path for you,
Right.
because you have to look at yourself. This is about looking in the mirror. This path is about you looking in the mirror every day at yourself. And like you said, that self-awareness, them thoughts, those words, they gotta change. If you got can't, hope, all that type of stuff in your vocabulary, this ain't gonna work for you.
Right.
You're gonna have to take that out, because you taking that limited thinking and that low self-worth into this path. You ain't gonna get nowhere with that. There's not gonna be no progression with that, because you still operating from the same. Instead of saying I can't, say I am. I will. This is what's gonna happen. Ain't no
Right.
hope. This is what's going on. I'm not hoping about anything. I'm standing up and I'm gonna create what it is that I want. So with me creating what I want, I'm not operating from no thinking. I'm not operating from no hoping. I'm not operating from no belief. I'm operating from my inner knowing
Yes.
that everything works out for me. But it's like something that keeps us from, going on this journey and going into the unknown. It's like being in survival mode. Because most of us are
Mm.
still in this survival mode, because on this earth, that's our natural instinct, is to survive.
Right.
You got all the economy, you got to pay bills, all this stuff. All your focus is on that you think that is all that you have to focus on in this lifetime. But it's like, if you so fed up, and people say, you can hear people say, "Oh, I'm tired. I don't want to live like this." When you really tired, you gonna do something.
Right.
It's not even gonna be no more talking. It's gonna be, okay, what can I do? Because this isn't working for me no more. When you
Absolutely.
living in survival mode, and all you worried about is how your bills gonna get paid and going to this job and stuff, that removes you so far from your true self, your true essence, because you can't even focus, you can't even see past that. Because in survival mode, you got to worry about where your next meal coming, if this bill gonna get paid, and now you living in fear that, oh, my lights may get cut off, oh, I may not
Mm.
have food for today. And it's like you just in this rat race over and over. But at the same time, it's not inside, it's not right. This is not the life that you want for
Right.
yourself. But it's like you gonna accept defeat and just keep going with it.
Right.
But once you get ready to break out of that survival mode and say, look, I'm gonna be doing more than surviving. If I got to be here life already lifing. I might as well have a good time. So let me start creating what I want to see, because this is not about to be it. And that's when
Right.
you become intentional about what you're doing, about where you put in your time and your energy into. Because if it's not serving you, if it's not getting you to where you want to get, then you ain't moving nowhere. But
Right.
if all you know is survival, that's all you gonna see. If you want to see what the other side is, where you thriving on all aspects, because I'm not talking about material thing. That's like on the least of the totem pole. I'm talking about how do you feel about yourself, about the life that you're leading
Right.
overall, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, like that thriving in all those aspects. Because when you thriving in them aspects, all the mundane, the finances, all that stuff comes with it. But that can't be your number one. If you have that as number one, then that's all you will see.
Right.
You gotta be all encompassing. You gotta expand, like really expand your mind. This is not no, you can't go on here thinking one way, because on this journey, what I learned is that if you think that your way is always right, you got another thing coming. Because like you're gonna go through different experiences and stuff that teach you that, oh, I'm not always right.
Right.
And then that's when you know it's not about being right, it's not about being wrong. It's about living the life that you design. And
Yes.
that's why how I ended up with human design, because it's essentially a tool to help you to live a life that's authentic to you, where
Yes.
you're the author, where you're creating the life that you want. You ain't going by what nobody else telling you. You just don't know the peace of mind you get
Right.
when you start living and being your own architect, and you ain't living according to somebody else's blueprint.
Right.
They can't live your life for you. They can't tell you how to go through your life, because they're not you. They
Right.
they don't dwell on the inside of you. So takes courage.
Yes. No,
That's
it
it.
absolutely does. It does. I mean, it's something so interesting that you mentioned about like survival mode, because we are taught that that's the way to live, and I feel like we get so immersed in it because we don't know that other options exist. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, oh, that's living comfortable, oh, that's for them. Oh, this, that's for rich people. Oh, that's for those kind of people. You know what I mean? But it's never for you. Even though you know you like it, you know you want it, it's not for you, because you gotta struggle. You gotta pay bills. You gotta, and so we become so accustomed to the way things are that we're conditioned to think that that's all that exists. And we live in a universe of infinite possibilities. If you can think it, you can create it. And it's really just that simple. And I mean, that's something that we hear is such a cliche. We hear it from childhood. And then as we go into adulthood, we begin to disbelieve that. It's like, that's not true. You know what I mean? I can't have whatever I want. Oh, no, I could never have that. I could never afford that. And it's because of all of this survival mode programming. We think that that's all that exists out here is just making ends meet, making sure you have enough food, making sure you have clothes, shelter, this, that, that. And it's like, no, survival is one thing, but there also exists thriving. There also exists, being happy. There also exists relaxing. Joy is a real thing. You know what I mean? Playing is a real thing. So it's like we really have to begin to open up our minds and to expand, like you said, and allow ourselves to consider that, wait a second, if I'm too adamant about one thing, then I'm coming from some sort of distorted thinking, because there's infinite possibilities. So who said that it has to be this one way? Am I saying that? Did somebody teach me that? Like, where am I getting it from? And we really have to begin to examine ourselves, because then when we start doing that, we realize, wait a second, I didn't even tell myself that. They told me that way back when, and I believed it. So maybe if I believed that, I could start believing something else. And it's like we really have to be willing to ask ourselves these questions, have those conversations with yourself. You know, they another thing is like, if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. It's like, no, you got to talk to yourself. You whip you all the time. That's what that inner voice is you managing yourself. If you don't manage you, then you'll just be out of control. Like, who's gonna do it? Nobody else can even do it. So it's for us to really check, be able to check ourselves. Hey, you're going too far, or wait a second, that what you're thinking, it really don't sound right. I think you need to do some research. You know, whatever the case. But it's for us to know there are infinite possibilities, and so we don't have to settle on one thing, especially if it's not making us happy and it's not to our benefit. If it's not serving you, go find a different option, because other options do exist. There are always other options. So it looks like our time is winding down. That went so fast. I feel
Yeah,
like we just got on here.
it does. But yes, y'all, we getting ready to close everything out. To those of you who gonna catch the playback, make sure that you like, you subscribe to the channel. If it's anybody you know who needs to hear these conversations, tell them come in and join. Whatever. Make sure you subscribe, y'all. We want to hear y'all your thoughts, because we essentially on a journey along with y'all. So let's go on it together. And
Absolutely.
whether you just starting out your journey or you've been on your journey for years, there's always room for growth. We
Absolutely.
still
That's
here,
for
there's
sure.
always room for growth. So I'll
That's
let you
for
close
sure.
out, LJ.
Yes, no, that's definitely for sure. And I mean, we're always open to for like topic ideas. If there's something that you would like to hear us discuss or delve into a little bit deeper, please comment below, because we are always open to that. We're all on this journey of self-discovery together. And make sure that you remember you are the architect and you get to design and define yourself. So
That's
thanks for
right.
tuning in.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.